Welcome back to the Always Right podcast. I'm author Karisa DeLay.
And I'm Jaime Vendera, and I'm going to try to be normal for this podcast.
Well,
It's
this is
tough
going
for
to be
me.
a fun episode, though. This is going to be more of a laid back, not a, what's what or whatever. It's going to be more of a personal perspective on where are we in our own writing, kind of like checking in with our listeners, telling them what we're doing, what we're struggling with, what we're excited about, and all that stuff. So, because I know you've been hard at work with Age of the Sigil, I want you to go ahead and start and just tell us where you are. What are you doing? What's exciting? What's your frustration? Like, just give us.
Okay. I am really excited, and I say this very humbly. You know me, by now.
Mhm.
I don't really have an ego when I write or whatever I do. I think Age of the Sigil is freaking phenomenal. I mean, it should be a Netflix series. It's like somewhere in between Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. And we've talked about, I don't like really saying it's the next Lord of the Rings because it's not. It's just this series based on four teenagers who from different walks of life. One's
Mhm.
from royalty, one's in sort of a armed forces, one's a wizard, one's a thief, and they wake up with their skin burning and a tattoo appears on their arms. One
Mhm.
kid has a knife and he can pull it off, and it's like this knife can cut through anything. Another has a scroll, and all these spells and incantations appear on it that he's never known before. A girl has a necklace that can control dragons and other monsters, and another woman, a young girl, she can pull a bow off of her back, and she can say a word like fire, and fire arrows or stone or rope, and it'll turn into that, and that's what it shoots. So I started this, geez, well over 10 years ago, and we plotted out 4 books. We got the covers. I've only finished the first 3, and I haven't. The last one came out probably 6-7 years ago. So it's what had happened with me. It's the teaching and the touring, and I just got way behind on writing fiction. I just couldn't keep up. I had to finish vocal books and stuff. But now that I'm back into it, now that you prodded me for months and months and months, I'm in love with it again. Even you said this morning, I think you said, or yesterday, you see a difference in me. And
Mhm.
it's kind of like every book I write's like a child, and I've forgotten what it was like. So I'm in there and I'm reading this, and I was even talking to Rich Dalglish about this. I'm like, because he's our editor and he does heavy edits with me, and I'm like, I don't remember that. And he's like, dude, that was all you. I don't really add to the scene unless I have to. And I'm like, wow, the stuff I came up with. So it is so overwhelming that I had to reread the books, and that's what I've been doing the last few weeks. And I'm like, I need to take notes.
Mhm.
And there were probably 100 characters in the first 3 books, dozens of I made up languages like dragon speak. I made up an ancient language of the or a language wizard language of the ancients, new monsters, new foods, all kinds of stuff, and all these places. And I had to keep a list of, what is this? What is a fiery? A fiery is a sort of fairy that can exist in something called a luminous stone. So half of its essence can be on the planet, and the other half is in the fiery realm. So all of these little things I created, I'm in awe. I'm like, wow. But my frustration was, and when I say this, this is no reflection on Rich, and I'll joke about this with him. I said to you, like, I can't believe Rich didn't catch all these typos. It wasn't so much that as like I have caught a half a dozen to a dozen typos in every book, but they're not like typos per se that you would consider with grammar. It was like there's a fairy named Rebecca that I spell Rebekka all
Mhm.
through the first 2 books. The third book, we get to a chapter, and all of a sudden, the whole chapter is spelled Rebecca. I'm like, what? But there's so many characters going on. I'm like,
Mhm.
why didn't Rich catch that? And I was like, well, I know why. We haven't talked about that fairy since book 2, because
Mhm.
she's not like a prominent character. She's just here and there. And then in the next chapter, it's spelled Rebekah.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so, he's checking and reading. I know it's not that, but I'm like, or misspelling. Like I had a Loria Dane is the name of a woman, and then I named her something else like Estrid, but she's a very, very minor character. She was like in the first chapter of book 1, and then she's in the 8th chapter of book 3, and I'm like, wow. So I'm scrubbing these books and keeping all these meticulous notes. So that's the only frustration. But that's not a problem. I'll work with Scribe Freelance. We will fix those. I'm happy about it because now it is so tight and it's a world of its own. I'm like, man, people are going to be really amazed. And we're even going back and redoing the map. If you got the first 3 books, we have a map in all the places. But I told Daniel, I said, I want something super elaborate because there's all these places in there. Already got half the stories. Didn't even realize I already had the names for all the chapters because it's a TV book, so there's 13 chapters, right. And I named them by where these kids are traveling to, which town are they going to next. And I was like, whoo, I've already got them all there. So, and as I got them there, and I'm thinking back in the book, I got these notes like, man, I need to elaborate on this. Here's a little arc I can continue on. Oh, Reeve and Pym didn't know they were brothers. One's a thief, one's a spoiler alert if you're haven't read them,
right?
But they don't know their brothers. So what it led me to, I got this like 15, 16 page document of notes just on characters and this no big writing. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to, when it's said and done and the books are done, I'm going to create a guide to Age of the Sigil. And there will be spoilers in there, but it shows you the lineage and how every character's kind of connected to the other. Where they come
put a spoiler alert on the front. Like if you've not read Age of the Sigil,
do that
not
was
read
already
this.
The plan. That was about, because what I thought about, and I'm just, this is how Chris and I roll, and so I'm just going to say this like we're in a business meeting. An idea I had, especially for the books I have, is if I started making guides for them, but we gave them away for free. You know, we could put them on a private page on Vendera Publishing, and if people wanted it, we were doing a Instagram or something, we could say, hey, if you want the guide so you can keep track, here it is. But spoiler alert, bam, but somebody might download it and be like, they've never read the books, but they're like, I want to check this out, and they're like, what? Okay, yeah, I got to get into these books.
Yeah, and I've also suggested something about like a timeline. You almost create a timeline where you can see where things are. Here's this linear line and linear area of where things are happening.
Yeah, and if you remember, well, you're thinking like in their book timeline. Daniel and I had talked about timeline years ago because all of my books actually exist in the same world. So
that's what I'm talking about, is the timeline of your books.
Yeah, so Age of the Sigil has dragons. When the other, like the Drayden, my brain just fried my brain. We have an adult fantasy series. I forgot what it is. The ADHD. That one, the dragons are gone. Tales of Spitfire, they're gone too, but they start to come back, the dragon spirits, and that's like 1,000,000 years ago, 500,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago. As the space opera that I've created, Phoenix Earth, it's a couple thousand years in the future. So this whole timeline can show where you really, and if you really read it, you'll kind of see that there is connections. Like even in Age of the Sigil, I mentioned a werecat, which is actually a creature that actually comes from DNA sequencing after the world is destroyed. So it's apocalyptic. There's no way it could exist 1,000,000 years ago. But there was a form of werecats. It was a cross between a wolf and a cat, a moorcat. But, totally different things. But I want to put those little Easter eggs in there so everything's connected. So, as you can tell, I'm excited. I mean, I miss writing. I really love writing. And it'll still be, at this point, as we're filming this podcast, so this will probably already be out, but I haven't really started the 4th book because I got to make a typo list for Daniel. I really want to go through and clean that guide up because I'll also be referring to it as I'm writing book 4 because I don't want to make any mistakes like I did before. Like, I named that character wrong. So, and if that's you, I mean, if you're writing this big world and whatever genre you're writing, you gotta keep notes. You're like, this is my story. I know what it is. You finish book 2 or book 1, book 2, and you get into book 3, you might be like, I forgot, that character broke their leg in book 1, but here they are running a 500-meter dash or however many meters you can run. I don't know. I'm not sportsy. 500-meter
dash. 200-meter, 400, 800,
okay.
1600.
Phew, I thought I really messed that one up. So that's where I stand. A lot of writing now. So.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm glad to see you writing because you'll be like, send me these messages, and you're just excited, and you're just all these things, and wow, and this and that, and I'm like, that's exciting. That's exciting. But at the same time, you'll list your struggles and you're like, this is what I got to fix. But at the same time, you're in there, you're making it happen. Because I know as soon as you get done with this one, you're going to move on to the next one and finish the next series.
Oh, that's the plan. Now that I've done this, whatever we choose, if it's DNA and Siren, I'll be doing the same thing. I'll be
So DNA and you'll have to do DNA. Well, you have to go through a
RNA,
DNA and RNA, and then you'll have to do Siren and finish that, and then finish it out with the mermaids
Angels and Mermaids. Yeah, because there's like
Angels,
3 books left.
Aliens and Mermaids.
Yeah, I knew it was something like that.
Yeah, I know what your books are called. It's fine.
Yes, one of us. As long as one of us keeps track,
yes,
it'll be fine.
Yes.
So I didn't know whether to do that or Legends of the Dread Realm. That's the adult fantasy series. There's one little book to write in it. I don't know what I'll do yet. So I got 3 books for the mermaids. I thought, well, I could knock out Legends.
While you're in Age of the Sigil, because you're in that medieval time frame
fantasy.
It might be good to go over to that's the one with the Knight's Valor and stuff in it. Yeah, you might be good to go that, so that way you know that you're not duplicating ideas.
Yep, because if I do that, when I jump back to Spitfire, that's in the same realm. Like there's a place called Ivel that makes Ivel still. There's a creature called an Ophilis, and it was caused a lot of trouble in Sigil. And it exists in the 3rd book of Spitfire, which I haven't written yet. But there'll be a lot where I can kind of copy ideas and spread them back and forth.
You need to create yourself a board like I do on the wall where everything is connected. You start putting things and plotting them and saying, okay, now I got to remember to put this in this book. Yep. This is my Spitfire realm right here. I got to throw a little pin up here and remember to throw this over here and put a note. It's connected here in this book.
Yes, so much to do. And you? I mean, I would say, are you ever going to finish that book? But I mean, it has been almost 10 years or something for Sigil, so I can't really complain. Canvassed.
Well, and so this is what's weird is Canvas is not my normal genre. So that I feel is my biggest challenge is finding that flow, because this book came to me from my oldest daughter giving me the plot twist. Years ago. It's probably been 10 years when she gave me this plot twist. If it was right after I finished 4 Rivers. And that came out in 2014. So that would be around 10 years ago. Yeah. And for me, I don't typically write serial killer. That's not my thing. Although, of course, now it's a trend, but which has allowed me a lot of resources to be able to pull from. But my struggle with this is, one, sitting down and just freaking doing it. And not giving myself an excuse to try and map out where I want to go to in London.
Well, one of my multiple personalities when I had pen names as books was Drusilla Winters, and she wrote Flight 666. I'll let you borrow that pen name if it helps to get you motivated, because she was into horror and all that gory stuff.
Is that like an out-of-body experience, like astral projecting into your personality? I don't know, but I think
Rich thinks that, because he's like, man, when you write horror, you really are that sick and twisted Drusilla Winters woman, and when you write teenage stuff, you are little Jamie Lynn Saunders. But
I did toy with the idea of changing a pen name for that type of genre. But
in the beginning we did it because I remember Daniel saying, hey, you're not as accepted if you're writing in fantasy than horror, than mafia and this and that. But when not that we parted ways, he's just busy with Scribe, so he's still on our team. But when he's like, man, I don't want to write anymore, I'm too busy, and I took over and I said, well, you know what, I'm not using pen names anymore. I don't care. I don't care what people think about me. But now it's a little more normal. I mean, you see people writing in multiple genres, and they did years ago, but they use pen names. But I'm cool with it. Who cares? I'd rather be like, wow, you're writing horror and fantasy? That makes no sense. Or read the books.
And I think a lot of mine is self-mental sabotage, that my brain will take me on other, and I know it's functioning ADHD. I still get a ton of things done on the opposite end of it. It's not like I'm not functioning and being productive, but just in something else. But something that has bothered me. Okay, so currently, just backtrack here. Currently, I did just recently finish a chapter, and I was working on a chapter last night. So I am actually trying to organize my stuff and stay on point, but then for me, I'm like, do I put Canvas down and do I write my aunt's book, because that way I get all of my family's input while they're still like able to share those thoughts?
Yeah, but here's how I think about it. You know, I love you. It doesn't bother me if Canvas comes out in a month or a year and a half from now. If you put that down and got the from your family while they're still here, that could also influence your Canvas writing to
Mm-hmm.
a point. Think about it, like with Crystal Gate and how it helped with your nonfiction book. So do what comes to heart. You know, start
Mm-hmm.
making a list. Like, I need to talk to these, get them on Zoom or on here on Riverside, and record it so you have
Mm-hmm.
it and get all of the information. And you may be writing on that nonfiction book, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, you know, something just came to me that I could
Mm-hmm.
use for Canvas. They may come out at the same time. That would be
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, and I actually had thought about that, because I had thought about when I was writing Canvas, because Canvas is about a serial killer. And I wanted to put in the end of my book a little snippet about my aunt. And if I bring them out at the same time, you can kind of have a link to
Yeah.
finding, yeah, because I think this one I'm gonna call Killing Alice.
Yeah.
So I may do that, because I really need to like get all the stories out and get those started working on those, and that's a good idea to kind of
Yeah.
simultaneously do them. So
Don't worry. I'll have a book out to carry us this year. Maybe.
yeah,
I better not get too ahead of myself.
yeah.
No, that's my plan. Schedule for this year and get on Legends.
Yeah,
So,
so yeah, I'll be while this episode is out, I'm giving you like a couple weeks off where you should be using our podcasting recording time to write. So
yeah,
don't book anything else during the hours of 8:30 and noon. Use those time for writing.
I'll be up at 5 writing, so it's not a
That's fine.
problem.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, whatever. But you know what
Yeah.
I mean? You have like, listen, I would normally be recording, but Karisa said I have to be writing right now. So
Yep.
that's what you have
And
to do.
the thing is, when I start writing, I get obsessed. So I will probably be writing every morning, and my wife will be like, "You haven't cut the grass in 3 weeks."
Be like, and it'll
Like,
still be there 3 weeks from
but
now.
Pim the knife. I got this scene to write. Yes.
You know, and that's funny you say that, because there was an artist in Ohio lived down the road, and their house wasn't like the well manicured lawn or anything like that, because they were busy doing their art. They were busy creating. So honestly, if you want my grass cut, come cut it for me.
Exactly.
Which, you know, speaking of grass, mine's looking really sunny right now.
Mine's looking tally.
They
No, I
they
just
cut our
got.
grass yesterday.
Oh, they cut our grass over the weekend. I think I can't remember.
But
So it's
ours was getting really long. Like it had been raining down here. So like
yeah, it's rained a lot here, so I'm going to wait. I have like, well, this will already be past, but I have Sonic Temple to visit my student and buddy Dustin Bates, who I'm sure we'll have on a podcast. You hear me, Dustin? We've already talked about this
yeah.
from Star Sets, and then Flat Black, Jason Hook, and Rex Horton, and so yeah, so the grass can wait.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you're gonna reach out to your friend, and we're gonna try and get
Yep.
someone that does screenplays. And then next week we're recording let's see. She has a title. It's a storyboard designer.
Oh yeah,
So
that's Monday, right?
yeah, Monday.
Yeah,
Make sure that's on your calendar.
it is
Yeah,
now.
we're gonna record with her and get like her intake on how illustrators and writers work together to collaborate, like, you know, visual aspects on cartoons, and things like that. So that'd be really cool to have that perspective added to the set list.
Yep, I like to turn Age of the Sigil into a graphic novel too.
Hey, maybe you could talk to her. Maybe she has an artist that she knows that would like that genre. I
Indeed.
mentioned that.
So, I know this ain't really a long podcast because we're just shouting out what we're doing, but I wouldn't mind knowing what some of our listeners are doing. If you're writing a book, what are you excited about? What struggles are you having? What are you doing right now?
I don't know why my phone's going off. I literally have it on Do Not Disturb. So it makes me think that my kid is pushing notify anyways.
Yep. They can do that.
Yes, yes. Okay. What else is new with you? Give me something new. Tell our listeners something new.
What is new? What is new? What is new? Uh, Nothing. I'm
Nothing.
just writing. I mean, I'm always traveling. I talked to Shamli Kugdar. I can't even talk. Shamli Kugadi. She's a famous Bollywood singer. She's been a student of mine. We're just sending her the Pink Doctor box. Ooh, there's something new. For those of you who do know me, I don't just write. I teach voice. I work with Dr. Vox. We create products for singers. We had the blue bottle out for years. We finally came out with pink. And the band Flat Black I'm going to see. I'm actually taking them and Dustin a black Dr. Vox. And I remember Jason Hook, who was in Five Finger Death Punch, Flat Black's leader and lead guitarist. He's like, dude, can't you make this bottle in black? Because Wes sets it right on the stage in front of the double bass drums, and they were on tour with I Prevail and Godsmack last year. He was saying this. He's like, man, if it was just black and it looked cooler and blah, 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 blah. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right. So then I made the pink one, and I texted him a picture like a few months later. I was like, hey, dude, I finally got it made. And he's like, what? No, that's not what I said. So I thought about taking him a pink bottle this week just to screw with him, but
You're like, well.
so no, I stay busy. I work with Jake Oni from the band Oni. I was out with him last year on a tour with Megadeth. There's one of my singing partners, Ryan Wall, calling me. I'll call him back. And Jake just texted me the other day. He's like, dude, just booked another tour going out in like August. I'm like, yay! And don't ask me to go with you because I hate touring. Hate it.
Who writes your commercials for Dr. Vox? Because they're always really funny.
Oh, well, me and Brendan Burkheiser do that, but you're talking about the one like, hi, I'm Dr. Box, and this is the Dr. Box. We did that in Michigan, like 2 years ago, and my ADHD is kicking in. I can't. Ben Prue is his name. Phenomenal film guy. He actually filmed all the music videos for I Prevail for their Trauma record. I mean, and they like have millions and millions and millions of views on those. So we're all friends. So he came to stay with Brian Burkheiser, the singer for I Prevail, and we're all at Brian's house. And Brian's like, we got to make like this serious Dr. Vox video, and we're going to do this and that. And Ben and I just looked at each other, and we're just psychically connected. We're like, yeah, step back, Brian. And he thought we were going to do like 6 videos a day. We filmed all day, and he's like, let's do stupid stuff. I'm like, hey, there's a bed in there. Let's have a guy acting like he's singing and he can't sing and his girlfriend's mad. And I'll pop out from other covers and like, use this. So we were making all this up as it wasn't scripted or anything. I remember at the end, he says, can you dance? And I said, yeah, like Elaine from Friends. He says, do that. And I'm like, can I do that disco thing on there? So, yes,
Yeah, that commercial was funny. I do
creativity.
remember that was funny.
Indeed.
All right, so what I'm going to do, all right, so after this episode, I've got about 30 minutes before the sun's ready for me to go lay out. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to write a chapter today. I'm going to be as diligent. I've been on you about being diligent with Age of the Sigil. Now I have to like flip it and be more diligent on my own.
There you go. And I actually, like I said, I've got some bullet points for Sigil 4, and they just pop in my head as I've been reading the first 3 books. So,
yeah, and I would like to hear from authors, writers, people aspiring to write. Where are you at? Like, what are you doing? Like, where are you at in your writing? Tell us. Make the comments down below. Send us an email. And if you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us at alwayswritepodcast@gmail.com. You can also go to our website at alwayswritepodcast.com, and that is the Vendera website. And then you can also see some of the authors on there. You can see some of our books and our bios or anything else you want to click on. We've got little icons. You can see all of our platforms in which you can follow us for social media or listening avenues if you're into listening in different approaches. Make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe to our videos so you can see us and our funny faces.
I don't make any funny faces. So
How about that?
I went out and ate with my film guy, Sean Daniel, Golden Crowd. Neither one of us ever go there, so we
Ugh.
went there. He took this picture of me getting ready to eat, and I look like this. I look like this dude with my eyes rolled back in my head. I have to send it. It's so funny. He's laughing. He sends it to his wife. I'm like, if you post that online, I will kill you. So, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people can watch YouTube and freeze. Just press stop, and they'll get a great picture of me here and there making some of the goofiest faces.
Well, we can pause your video while you're chugging your jug there. Jug of water. You should probably get a printed label. Oh my gosh. Literally, last week I said that
All right.
I'm like cringing inside. Oh, I'm gonna have to talk to your print guy, mate. Listen, can you print him a soundproof water bottle, please?
Yes.
One that doesn't have a loud screw cap. One that doesn't make a lot of clanking noises.
It's just this microphone, so excellent.
That's it. All right, perfect. Okay.
I guess that's it.
Yes. All right. Thank you for listening. And until next time, I'm author Karisa DeLay,
who's going to lay out in the sun, and I'm Jaime Vendera, who's going to go into his little cave and teach for only 6 students today.
Oh, yeah, and I'll finish a chapter.
That works.
All right. Until next time. Thanks for listening.
Bye.